Hello everyone, welcome to my Game Week 23 team selection. Game Week 23 was a decent success, 48 points. I got a small rank increase, only very small, about 5k upwards, but after a few consecutive red arrows, a green is lovely to see. I'm going to look through the team, chat through my thoughts, then I've got a section on some transfers I would like to make, leaning into how I'd line up for Game Week 23. So let's get into the team. Raya and Gabriel with a combined 2 points. Yeah, definitely could have been better here. I've discussed double Arsenal defence a bit recently. They are still amazing, but I do wonder if there's more points potential than Raya elsewhere. Gabriel I'm good to hold. Trent with 11 points, this is why I got him in. The man can and will haul. Along with the hauls, there are of course blanks, but Trent is historically a fantastic FPL asset, so long-term thinking with him, it's very likely I'll hold him till the end, or at least for a long time now. Anthony Robinson with 8, he's just ticking away so well. You can see his ability is outstanding. That Fulham side is looking really good and he just looks a level above it in terms of his athleticism and technicality. Yeah, honestly, this is another player I'm very happy to hold for a while. On the bench was another big return from Gehi, 8 points. I'm glad he's getting the returns now. He's kind of flew under the radar as an asset with how attacking Munoz is. I don't expect big attacking returns from him, but Palace are good defensively. He can score and he's quite good for bonus too. So yeah, he's a great cheap defender I've loved having. Then into midfield, for the quality in that lineup to just get 10 points, it's very surprising. Each player is definitely capable of getting that and more themselves, but that's how it works some weeks. Gordon with 2, underwhelming, as were Newcastle as a whole. I think I timed jumping on him quite well. I missed a few of those early weeks, but I've definitely got a lot of good from him, so can't complain. Now I'm looking and thinking, fixtures are turning, I need some funds. Could this be a place to look? He's good to hold for Southampton for sure, and even Fulham too, but I do have my thoughts and I'll run through them in the next section. Essentially, I like to have a decent squad structure in place, and I think it helps building team value and also makes for good squad planning. Salah, Palmer and Rodgers are my mainstays, players that I won't sell. That's 2 premiums and a budget enabler. Then the other 2 slots are quite flexible. I'll usually have 2 players, each between the 5.5 to 8.5 range, depending on my plans for the rest of the team. So, obviously I'm happy with Mbeumo, and I'm thinking I could now move Gordon down to a 5.5 mid in order to free up some funds and upgrade elsewhere. On Mbeumo, another blank, but the initial 2 fixtures I brought him in for, Man City and Liverpool, were a bit punty, so now we begin that nice run that I brought him in for with a proper mind. So yeah, Palace is by no means easy, but overall the going gets better now. Salah with 6, again there's not much I can say here, world class player, happy to keep. Palmer blank, it can happen. Rodgers 1 point, that was a blank and a yellow card. What can you do? It's been a shocker for the midfield this week. Now into the forwards. Chris Wood, the ever reliable, 12 points. I'm a happy man with this guy in my team, and I don't even want to try hop on and off him. I'm just happy keeping him in there, playing him every week. Isaac blank. The run was going to end at some point. It's understandable. And João Pedro blank too. I haven't found him too frustrating to own, and I think that's because I've benched him a lot. When I have played him, he's returned for me more often than not. However, some of that comes down to luck, and all in all, he's not convincing me on the pitch or when I look at the data. Welbeck's back now too, but even that, is it enough to rely on another player to, maintain your player's form? I don't know. I think an upgrade's in order for him, so let's take a look at some transfer plans. So I have 2 free transfers and absolutely nothing in the bank. However, that lack of funds does not inhibit what I would like to do. All of these plans are looking ahead. I'm essentially trying to cover the upcoming double game week, attack some good fixture runs and add some squad depth for the blank game week in 29. The first transfer, the one that will create the domino effect, is Anthony Gordon to a budget midfielder. Right now my eye is on Kluivert. He's off the back of a hat-trick, so it does look a bit impulse. However, I had an eye on him at the beginning of the season, held back because I wasn't sure on his minutes or Bournemouth as a whole. but he just looks so good. The way he took them goals, and the way he speaks after games too, you can see that there's a very good, very mature, very promising player there with a lot of capability. He's on penalties, playing closer to goal with the squad's injuries, and also getting more minutes because of that too. On Bournemouth as a whole, they are looking really good. They're 8th best in the league for expected goals per 90 and are currently 7th place in the league, so performances are matching the data too. I think the fixture run from game week 25 to 31 is brilliant. It's maybe the best there is across all teams for both attackers and defenders. They also have a fixture in game week 29 when a few other teams will blank. That's why I'm considering Kluivert along with potentially another Bournemouth player, so I'm going to branch off into some alternatives very briefly now. Semenyo is a great shout. I just think there's not much that separates the two of them as assets, and when that's the case, I look at the players themselves. Kluivert is a bit more superior in terms of his footballing background. Of course, his dad played at the elite level, Newcastle, Ajax, Barcelona. Then you have the added bonus of him taking the penalties, and for me that's enough to go Kluivert over Semenyo. I don't think both are necessary. Then when it comes to a defender, I am very interested in Kerkez and Huijsen. I really need to learn how to pronounce them names properly. But yeah, this isn't a necessity. It can wait. I'm actually doing it more so with an eye ahead to game week 29, so it definitely can wait. I'm not going to cover it in this video because it's early thoughts and it's probably not one transfer that I'll make this week or the week after. There are other transfers I'm prioritising, but I'll likely touch on this next week or the week after. So Anthony Gordon to Justin Kluivert is my planned move. I feel like I've kind of brushed over the fact I'm getting rid of Gordon. I think he's a fantastic asset. He's definitely someone you could hold. I just think that for me personally, I see football, it works in ebbs and flows and highs and lows, and Gordon's been on a very good high. He's had a lot of points consistently for a fair few game weeks now, and the fixtures had coincided with that. Now the fixtures start to turn. I'm looking and I'm seeing him as probably the most viable route to free up some funds, because although he can score in them difficult fixtures, the goal involvement will likely centre more around the talisman in Isak, so I'm happy to come away from that double up on Newcastle attack now that the attacking fixtures aren't so good. So, I have this move penciled in for next game week ahead of game week 24. I think the Southampton fixture is a nice last dance with Gordon, and it's been a pleasure to own him. Now, another beauty of this move is that it would take me from nothing in the bank to 1.9 mil. That means I have a nice chunk of money to upgrade João Pedro. There's only really three players on my radar. Gakpo looks good, he's returning consistently, and outside of Salah his minutes are probably the most guaranteed in that Liverpool front line. However, I'm not actually a huge fan of this pick. Even though he has the double game week, I don't think there's huge points potential there. I could be wrong, but I think even some of the single game week strikers could outscore him. It also seems like it'll be a transfer out waiting to happen, and I don't like that, so it's enough to put me off. The other choice is Matheus Cunha. His quality and price alone are enough to keep him on my watch list. However, with not having the greatest fixtures, with him playing for Wolves, and with all of the transfer speculation around him, I just don't really want that headache. So my favourite choice is Yoane Wissa. He's focal to Brentford's attack, averaging 5.2 points per game. He's actually quite fixture proof, and Brentford start a really nice run of fixtures anyway from game week 24 to 30, also with a game in 29 where some teams will blank. He's had a very good season, the goals are coming along, and I think he's now, let me get this right, I think he's now Brentford's top goal scorer of all time in the Premier League. He's been on my radar from early in the season. I've wanted him for a while, and now seems like the right time. I will mention there's been a bid for him from Nottingham Forest of around 20 mil. That's nowhere near his valuation, and I think a January move would be unlikely. The situation is very different to Cunha. I'm not too in the know on this particular scenario, but Wissa seems happy. He's been at the club for a while on top of his game, and a January exit, especially for that price, just doesn't seem likely. So my second transfer ahead of game week 24, so next game week, is penciled in to be João Pedro to Johan Visser. Since this is a game week 23 video, I should mention things I'm planning to do this week in the short term. Another transfer I have penciled in for game week 24, which could move to this game week if price changes come into effect, or if the Arsenal defence injury list becomes a bit longer, is RAYA to Alisson. I really like RAYA, and to be honest, this is a little bit of a luxury transfer, especially given Arsenal have Wolves this week. That's why I'll probably wait till next week in case I need the free somewhere else to cover an injury or a suspension. But if price rises are on the table, or if we get another injury to Arsenal's back line and their defence suddenly looks weaker, I might just move a week early and bring in Alisson. He's my favourite keeper in the game, to be honest, both in an FPL standpoint and a footballing standpoint in general. I owned him in game week 1 and I would very happily welcome him back. I think he's probably better than RAYA in terms of his points potential. Clean sheets wise, they look pretty even this season. Alisson is, however, making more saves and he looks better for bonus points too. This will also mean that I have a triple up on Liverpool for the double game week, so that's very enticing. All of that to say, I probably will still roll. The one that I'd be likely to make is RAYA to Alisson, but that's just if price changes force my hand. The moves of Gordon to Kluivert and Pedro to Visser I'll put off till next week because I do want that Southampton fixture with Gordon, and he has the domino effect that frees up the funds for that other move to upgrade João Pedro. So let's take a look at my team for game week 23. It may well be the last dance with David Raya. As we said, he has Wolves away, then it's Man City next week, so nice exit point to jump onto Alisson for that double. But for this week, last week with him in goal. And for the first time in a few weeks, I'm expecting a clean sheet. Same goes for Gabriel. Trent with Ipswich at home, that's a really good fixture. Ipswich are also quite attacking on their left side. Leif Davis can push forward a lot, so let's hope Trent can take advantage of them spaces. Robinson at home to Man United, I think he could definitely get some attacking returns there, even a clean sheet. Into midfield, I will be starting Palmer away to City. I think it's actually a good fixture. You'd imagine there's a lot of goals there. There has been a lot of discussion on benching or selling Palmer this week. I just don't align myself with it. It's a tough week for benching decisions, I get it, but these premium assets with huge points potential tend to be very fixture proof. I won't be selling him, and I definitely won't be benching him either. Salah at home to Ipswich, the fixture is far too good to take the captaincy anywhere else, like I would anywhere. Rodgers at home to West Ham, it's a really nice game, as are the two after for him. And Burmo away to Palace. Palace are looking solid in defence, but Burmo is just a set and forget type player who can get something out of any game. I'm very happy to finally have him, and there's no way he's going to be on my bench for the foreseeable. Then we have what might well be another last dance. Anthony Gordon away to Southampton. I've been very happy with him. It's a nice fixture to part ways on, as I've said. Let's hope for a healthy return to part ways on. Now up front, it's Isak away to Southampton. What a fixture on paper. And Chris Wood away to Bournemouth. Chris Wood does now start a run of not so good fixtures, but I held him last time that happened and it did pay off, so I think he's quite fixture proof this season. I'll be starting him. On the bench is Fabianski, Gehi, João Pedro and Burgess. Potentially a last dance for Pedro there. I'm happy to not play him for it, to be honest, even though I like doing that on last dances. So yeah, that is my team for game week 23. I'll be back soon to review how it all went and for some further updates on those planned transfers. Thank you for listening. Take care.